Welcome to the Prescott Lab Podcast, not just theory, practical science for everyone. I'm Dr. Jonathan Prescott, a physician and integrative medicine researcher at the Ravenshade Institute for Human Health. If you're a man in your 60s, maybe 70s, and you've quietly noticed something's changed, this episode is for you. You might not talk about it. You might not even want to think about it, but you've felt it. You used to wake up with certainty. A quiet, firm signal that your body was still alive, still strong. And now the mornings are quiet, not just in your house, but in your body. No pulse, no response, just silence. Now let me be clear, this isn't just about erections. This is about your health, your circulation, your testosterone, your heart, your nervous system. And when that morning signal disappears, it might be your body's first whisper that something deeper is going wrong. And that's why we're having this conversation today. Before we go any further, if you haven't yet hit that like button, please do it now. Not because I need validation, but because every single like tells us this message matters. That men's health deserves to be talked about, that videos like this one are worth making. So if you're watching right now and you care about these issues, hit that like button. It's not just a click. It's a nudge that helps us help more men like you. And if you haven't subscribed, I hope this is the moment you'll consider it. We're just getting started. Because in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you why some men still wake up hard in their 70s while others stop in their 50s and what that difference means for you. Let's begin by asking the question most men never dare to say out loud. What does morning wood really mean? The answer might surprise you, and it just might save your health. 1. The health report card between your legs. When I was a young resident, one of my mentors pulled me aside after a lecture and said something I'll never forget. You want to know if a man's healthy? Ask him one thing: does he still wake up with an erection? I laughed at the time, thought it was just an old doctor's joke. But after 3 decades working with men from all walks of life, I understand now he wasn't joking. Morning erections, what we often call morning wood, are one of the clearest signals your body sends about your internal systems. They don't happen because you're aroused. They don't need a sexy dream. They happen because your nervous system, your vascular system, and your hormones are all still playing in sync. It's the symphony behind the scenes. Your brain sends the signal. Your blood vessels carry the tune. Your testosterone keeps the rhythm steady. So when that rhythm fades, when you stop waking up firm, it's not random. It's not just your age, it's a sign. Something in that system is weakening, and when one part fails, the whole performance falls apart. Now here's the trap most men fall into. It doesn't disappear overnight. First it's softer. Then it skips a few days, then a few weeks, and before you know it, silence becomes the new normal. You tell yourself it's fine, that it's just part of aging, but that's the lie. The soft, comfortable lie that too many men accept until it's too late. And because what's fading in the morning is more than just an erection. It's your circulation, your hormone balance, your nerve responsiveness. It's the quiet pulse of vitality itself. And if you know how to listen, you can catch the problem before it spreads. Before it turns into fatigue, brain fog, low desire, or worse, heart issues, metabolic disease, or loss of independence. It all starts with understanding what parts of the machine are struggling. And the answer often lies in 3 powerful systems, each with a role, each with a weakness. To restore what's lost, you have to start by identifying which one needs your attention the most. That's where clarity begins, and clarity is power. Let's take a closer look. 2. Testosterone, blood, nerves, the big 3. Over the years, I've had dozens, no hundreds of men sit across from me, look around the exam room to make sure no one's listening, and then whisper some version of the same sentence. Doc, I don't wake up like I used to. Is that normal? It's never asked loudly. There's always a pause after, because what they're really asking is, am I still a man? Is something wrong with me? Is this the beginning of the end? And I always answer the same way. It's not random, it's not meaningless, and it's definitely not something to ignore. Because when morning erections disappear, it almost always means one or more of your core systems has slipped out of sync. The first system is your hormones, especially testosterone. Men hit their hormonal peak in their 20s, and from there, testosterone begins its quiet decline. By your 60s, you may be operating at half of what you once had, and the first sign isn't always libido or energy. It's the stillness in the morning, the missing pulse, the silence where firmness used to be. The second system is your blood flow. Your penis is not magic. It's a vascular organ. It needs strong arteries, elastic vessels, and a heart that pumps with purpose. But age and everything that comes with it narrows those pathways. Plaque builds, pressure rises, flow slows, and without blood, there is no erection, no firmness, no signal. The third system, the one most often overlooked, is your nervous system, the wiring between your brain and your pelvis, the unseen highway that allows a signal from your mind to reach your body. But if you've had diabetes, back injuries, chronic inflammation, or even years of sitting too long, those wires get frayed, the signal weakens, the reaction slows, and eventually nothing happens. Now, here's the hard truth. Any one of these three systems, hormonal, vascular, neurological, can cause the morning response to fade. But they don't usually work alone. They decline together slowly and quietly until you don't remember the last time you woke up feeling like yourself. But here's the hopeful part. If you can pinpoint where the breakdown began, you can start rebuilding, not with gimmicks, not with shortcuts, but with choices. Small, repeatable actions that stack into progress, into change. And to do that, you first have to listen to what your body is telling you. Because morning silence is never just about sex. It's often the first signal that something deeper needs your attention. And sometimes, that signal is the only warning you'll get before something more serious begins. 3. Why losing morning wood is losing more than you think. His name was James, 64 years old, still sharp, still working part-time at his old firm, still laughing at his own jokes. But when he came into my office, he didn't crack a smile. He sat down slowly, folded his hands, and said, "Doc, I haven't woken up hard in almost a year. I don't feel sick, but something feels off. Like my body's getting quieter. And I'm not sure I should be okay with that." That line stayed with me because that's exactly how it starts for most men. There's no pain, no flashing red warning light, just a growing silence where vitality used to speak. So we ran some labs, and sure enough, his testosterone was low. His blood pressure was rising, and there were early signs of insulin resistance. Nothing that screamed emergency, but the quiet whispers of a storm coming, you see. What most men don't realize is that losing morning erections isn't just about sex. It's your body's check engine light, a signal that something deeper, something more essential is off track. And if you ignore it, if you brush it off as just getting older, you miss your chance to catch disease in its earliest, most reversible stage. Think about it. The same blood vessels that bring flow to your groin also feed your heart. The same nerves that control pelvic function also affect digestion, bladder control, and balance. The same hormonal rhythms that power your desire also support your bones, your brain, your confidence. So when that system stops sending you a signal in the morning, it may be because it's struggling to keep the lights on elsewhere. That's why I tell every man this: don't wait for diagnosis to care about your health. Listen to the signs that show up quietly before they scream. Before you're sitting across from a cardiologist, not a urologist. Before the fight becomes harder. Because the truth is, many men are already doing things each day that quietly, invisibly chip away at their ability to perform, not just in the bedroom, but in life. They don't mean to, they just don't know, but you will. Because what we talk about next may be the very reason your body is falling silent. 4. Your habits are sabotaging you silently. Walter was 67, retired firefighter, big hands, bigger heart. He used to say, "I've carried men out of burning buildings, but now I can't even carry a conversation with my wife without feeling like I'm failing." He didn't smoke, he walked every morning, but he still wasn't waking up with erections anymore, so we started peeling back the layers, and what we found wasn't dramatic, it wasn't shocking, it was subtle. Quiet, but it explained everything. You see, most men aren't undone by one big mistake. It's not a heart attack, not a crisis. It's the little things done daily, unnoticed, that chip away at their strength. Walter had a glass of whiskey every night to unwind. He'd scroll through the news on his phone in bed until midnight. He'd skip breakfast but grab a donut with coffee on the way to see friends. He thought these were harmless habits, but here's what was really happening. Alcohol, even in small amounts, dulls your nervous system and disrupts testosterone. It may help you fall asleep, but it robs you of deep REM where erections are built. Screens at night, they suppress melatonin, keep cortisol high, hijack your sleep rhythm, and when REM sleep disappears, so do your natural nighttime erections. Diet, Walter thought one donut wouldn't hurt. But sugar, processed oils, and refined carbs create silent inflammation. Over time, that inflammation narrows arteries, reduces testosterone, and disconnects your brain from your body. And then there's sitting, the silent killer of blood flow. Walter didn't realize that sitting for hours at a time was compressing circulation to his pelvis, weakening the very signals he thought were just getting old. And stress, that was the biggest one. He was carrying unresolved grief from losing a friend in the field years ago. And while his face looked calm, his nervous system was stuck in survival mode. Men often think stress is only emotional, but your body remembers, and when cortisol stays high, testosterone doesn't stand a chance. When you add these things up, the drink, the screen, the sugar, the silence, they become a recipe for fading erections, not because you're broken, but because your body's just trying to survive what you keep asking it to endure. Now here's the good news. Once you see these patterns, you can begin to reverse them. With small, steady shifts, you can take your power back, and that's what Walter did. He made a few changes. Traded the nightcap for herbal tea, put his phone down an hour earlier. Ate real food, stretched, walked with more intention, and within a few months the silence was gone. He woke up one morning and smiled. I didn't know how much I missed this, he told me, neither did his wife. So the question now is, if these are the habits quietly draining your power, what are the habits that can restore it? Because the path back starts with a plan, one that's been tested, one that works, and that's what comes next. 5. Step 1. Awareness. You can't fix what you don't track. Leonard was 70, former Navy mechanic, methodical, quiet, kept a logbook for everything, oil changes, groceries, even his blood pressure. But when he came to see me, he looked down and said, "Doc, for once in my life, I can't measure what I've lost." That hit me because what he was talking about wasn't numbers, it was presence, it was manhood. It was that quiet morning proof that his body was still working, and it had been gone for over a year. So we started with something simple, not medication, not procedures, just awareness. You can't repair what you refuse to see, and most men have no idea how their sleep, their stress, their meals, and their movement are connected to what happens or doesn't happen down there. So I gave Leonard a journal. I asked him to track 5 things every day for just 1 week. Did you wake up with an erection? How many hours did you sleep? Did you wake during the night? What did you eat? How much did you move? No pressure, just patterns. He came back 7 days later and the picture was clear. Late nights, inconsistent meals, 2 glasses of wine on most evenings. Little movement, no morning wood. Now here's the beautiful part. Once Leonard saw the pattern, he couldn't unsee it. That's when I ran his labs. We tested his testosterone, fasting insulin, CRP for inflammation, vitamin D, magnesium, cholesterol, blood pressure, the works. Because tracking without data is guessing. But when you combine lived experience with lab truth, you gain power. Leonard's testosterone was low. Inflammation was high, but we weren't scared, we were informed, and that's how recovery begins. Awareness isn't passive, it's action, and the moment a man sees the map, he can finally start the journey. So what did Leonard do next? He didn't jump to pills. He started repairing the system that makes testosterone naturally, because that's the next step. And it might be the most important one of all. 6. Step 2. Balance your hormones like a man should. Raymond was 66, used to run a construction company, worked with his hands, commanded respect. But when he came into my office, he sat down like a man who didn't recognize his own reflection anymore. He said, "I've got time now. I've got my wife, but I feel like I left the man she married somewhere back in my 50s. He didn't want pills. He didn't want therapy. He just wanted to feel like himself again. And for many men like Raymond, that begins with rebuilding the hormonal foundation. Now, let me be clear, not every man needs testosterone therapy, but every man benefits from optimizing the way his body naturally produces testosterone. And it starts with 3 things most men overlook. 1. Deep, uninterrupted sleep. Testosterone isn't made in the gym, it's made at night. During the darkest hours of sleep, your body goes into repair mode. But if you stay up late, stare at screens, or wake up at 3 a.m. thinking about your taxes, your testosterone doesn't stand a chance. 2. Resistance training. Raymond hadn't lifted a weight in 20 years. I had him do simple bodyweight exercises, push-ups against the wall, squats to a chair, light bands, twice a week. No fancy gym, no ego. After 3 weeks, he looked at me and said, "My arms are sore, doc, but my mind feels sharper." I didn't expect that. Because movement isn't just for muscle, it tells your body, "I'm still here, I still matter," and your hormones respond. 3. Sunlight and nutrients. Raymond started walking in the morning, 10 minutes every day. He added vitamin D, magnesium, and zinc, 3 nutrients most older men are quietly deficient in. And guess what? His sleep improved. His energy returned. And yes, he started waking up with erections again. We also explored adaptogens like Tongkat Ali and ashwagandha, not miracle cures, but helpful tools. They reminded his body how to perform again. The point is, restoring testosterone isn't about chasing youth. It's about reclaiming rhythm, reminding your body what it's built to do with consistency, not chemistry. And once hormones start moving in the right direction, the next question becomes, is blood getting where it needs to go? Because without circulation, even the strongest hormone in the world can't do its job. 7. Step 3. Blood flow is everything. Here's how to improve it. Franklin was 72, a retired jazz saxophonist, played smoky clubs in Detroit back in the day. He told me, "I can still feel the rhythm in my bones, but nothing else in my body seems to remember it." What he meant without saying it out loud was this: he hadn't felt blood flow where it counts in a long, long time. Now let me tell you something plain and true: no blood flow. No erection, period. Your penis is a pressure-driven organ, not powered by willpower or fantasy or even testosterone alone. It's powered by circulation, arteries, capillaries, elasticity. The same system that moves blood to your brain, your legs, your heart, moves it to your groin, and when that system clogs, stiffens, or weakens, the signal fades. With Franklin, I didn't prescribe pills. I prescribed a walk every morning, 15 minutes. Rain or shine. He thought I was joking. I said, "Your legs are the pump. If your legs stop moving, your manhood stops moving too." I also asked him to eat for nitric oxide, beets, arugula, spinach, foods that naturally expand your blood vessels and deliver oxygen where it needs to go. We ditched the processed food, replaced his white bread with sourdough, his bacon with salmon, his soda with lemon water and cayenne. It wasn't a diet, it was an upgrade. And then we tackled belly fat. Because visceral fat, the kind that hugs your organs, is the #1 blocker of blood flow and testosterone production. It's a hormone disruptor, a pressure killer. I told Franklin, lose 10 pounds and you might feel 10 years younger. He lost 12, and guess what? 2 months in, he started waking up with firmness again. Not every day, but often enough to smile about. He came in for a follow-up and said, "Doc, I'm blowing sacks again." And just not the kind you think. We both laughed, but beneath the humor was pride. A man who thought he was done wasn't, so ask yourself honestly. When was the last time you helped your body circulate, not just breathe, not just sit and rest, but move, feel, deliver? Because once blood starts flowing, your next job is to make sure the nerves can feel it, and that's where we go next. 8. Step 4. Nerve activation and pelvic power. Mitchell was 69, a retired math teacher from Ohio, precise, polite, and painfully private. He walked into my office and said, "I've got circulation. I've got decent numbers, but it's like the lights are on and nobody's home." I knew exactly what he meant, because blood flow without nerve response is like turning on the faucet with no pipe to deliver the water. Let me explain it this way: your erection isn't just a plumbing issue. It's an electrical one. Your pelvic nerves carry the message from your brain to your body, and when that pathway is blocked, frayed, or dulled, nothing lights up, no matter how good your blood flow is. Mitchell had a history of lower back pain, years of sitting at his desk, no movement in his hips, and the muscles around his pelvis were, frankly, asleep. We started small. First, Kegel exercises for men. Most guys roll their eyes at that word, but if you knew how powerful these tiny muscle contractions are, you'd stop laughing. Kegels strengthen the pelvic floor, increase circulation, and reignite nerve connections. They're discreet. You can do them in the car, in line at the grocery store, no equipment, no excuses. Second, mobility and movement. We got Mitchell off the couch, gave him a stretching routine to do every morning. Hips, lower spine, glutes. He told me, "I haven't bent this way since the Clinton administration." We both chuckled, but he did it anyway. Third, we tackled posture. Because slouching doesn't just make you look old, it compresses your spine, flattens your pelvis, and weakens the connection between your core and your groin. Mitchell started walking taller, and with it, he started feeling more like a man again. Within a month, something changed, not just in his pants, but in his posture, his voice, his face. He walked in one morning and said, "I don't know what happened, doc, but I woke up and it was there, like my body remembered me." That's what nerve reconnection feels like. It's not loud, it's not sudden, it's a quiet return to power. Now I want you to think, how long have your nerves been disconnected from your desires? How long has your body waited for you to wake it up? Because the best part of this story isn't what Mitchell recovered, it's what he rediscovered. And it's what you still can too. But of course, there's one last thing we need to say before we close. 9. Not just erections. This is about vitality. You've made it to the end of this episode, and if you're still here, that tells me something about you. You're not someone who gives up easily. You're not someone who shrugs and says, "I guess this is just how it is now." You're someone who remembers what it felt like to be fully alive in your body and wants that feeling back. Let me tell you the truth. Morning erections are not about sex. They're not about performance. They're about presence, about a body that still responds, about a mind still connected to its vessel. They're the quiet way your biology says, "Yes, I'm still here, I'm still strong." And when that signal goes missing, it doesn't mean you're broken. It just means your body needs you to listen, to act, to stop waiting for a crisis and start moving toward healing. We've talked about awareness. We've talked about hormones, blood flow, and nerve recovery. We've told stories: James, Walter, Leonard, Raymond, Franklin, Mitchell. But now it's your story, so here's my invitation to you. Don't let this episode be just another video. Let it be your line in the sand the moment you said, "I'm done accepting decline, I'm ready to rebuild." And if you felt that, if this episode hit home, I ask you to do one thing: tap that like button, not for me, for the thousands of other men who need to hear this, but haven't yet found the words. Every like helps this message rise. Every comment brings one more man into the room, and if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that button now. We're building something here, a space for truth, for healing, and for brotherhood. And lastly, I want to hear from you. Have you noticed a change in your mornings? Have you made a shift that brought results? Or do you have a question that's been sitting in your chest too long? Leave a comment. You don't need to explain everything. Just say, "I'm working on it." I'll know exactly what you mean, and I promise I read every word, because this podcast isn't about me. It's about you, your fight, your return, your power. So until next time, be good to yourself, listen deeply, and never forget, you are not broken, you are rebuilding, and you're not alone.